Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe. I'm a sales and marketing coach and strategist for health coaches, life coaches, and wellness professionals who want to become a leader in their field by building their online community, rocking their sales process, and finally feeling confident about how they promote themselves and their marketing. On this show, we talk about tips to grow your business, save yourself time, and finally be able to create a sustainable, profitable business. Let's get into it. Today's podcast is brought to you by the Zero to Hero Coach Program. This is my 4-month program teaching coaches and online service providers how to grow your online business, book clients consistently, overcome your sales fears, and finally rock your social media visibility. If you struggle to create a sustainable coaching business, this program is for you. Check out HaileyRowe.com and book your free strategy call with my team or myself today. Thank you. Today, I have a very exciting guest, Barbara Ellison. And I loved meeting Barbara on Zoom for the first time a couple weeks ago. She's also from Illinois, like me, and I think you live in Chicago, right?
Nearly Chicago.
Yes, and Barbara is going to share a little bit about herself and what she does. And we're going to talk today about how you, if you're listening, can reinvent yourself in business. If you ever feel like, man, I'm starting over, or I had a big setback, or I feel overwhelmed, or whatever, Barbara and I can relate, and we can share our own journeys and go from there. So Barbara, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll start there.
Well, hi, everybody. And first of all, Hailey, thank you so much for having me. This is just always fun to be able to share some words of things that have gone on in our lives, because people need to hear our stories. So thank you so much for letting me share mine. For myself, my mission is to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And because I truly believe that each one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, financially free, and abundant life. The thing is when I got that mission, it started as a bit of a tragedy because I lost my husband 10 years ago. And at the time, when I woke up from the widow's fog after about a year and a half, I was like, oh, brother, now what? And in that moment, and I can tell you exactly where I was and when that moment was, that I woke up and said, okay, I cannot go on like this for another moment. The thing was, Hailey, it was the scariest moment, because right then, I had no idea who I was, what I wanted, what I was going to do for the rest of my life, because I had always defined myself by the labels that I had put on myself, and and society of being a wife and a mother. And then I was divorced, and then I was a success again and I was a failure after my divorce. Well, then I was a success again because I got remarried and then became a grandmother, but now I was a widow. And I love the name of your show, Reinventing Yourself. That's exactly what I had to do.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea who I was. But I realized, but in that moment, the only thing I knew what I didn't want. So I guess that was a step in the right direction. I knew what I didn't want. But I had no idea what I did want.
Right.
And luckily, I had this random phone call about, hey, would you be interested in learning how to do online marketing? And I went, online marketing? How do you market how do you do online marketing? But it intrigued me. I went, okay, and I think that's the biggest thing that I like to share with people. Be open to when something just random happens sometimes. Just be open to hearing that little nudge that, okay, this might be something that would be okay to maybe possibly look at. And so that's kind of where it started. But from there, I can now look back on the journey that, oh, wow, it has just been amazing. And that's what I want for everybody, to find that little spark and I think that's the biggest thing. But it's like so many of my clients and people say to me, well, how do you get started? Just find that one little spark and then just start. Because you don't have to know everything.
Right.
I did not know what the next step was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know. But I can look back now and go, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's where that step led to. So from that online marketing, just random thing. And in fact, I just talked to him again yesterday. I just touched base with him and said, you know what? His name was Michael. I said, you know what, Michael, you were the beginning. And now, like 8 years later.
That's fun.
And it was just a touch base. And it was like, I said, but you started it. Well, then he introduced me to something else. From that something else, I was introduced to a coaching program.
Nice.
And it was called The Ultimate Game of Life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a year-long program. Well, my coach, his name was Phil Black. Kudos, Phil. And he said, well, you know what? The other company that I am doing marketing for, that I coach for, is having a seminar in Montreal. Well, I'm originally from Montreal. He said, yeah, and it's next month. I went, and I said, gee, I'm going to Montreal next month. And so I went to it. And that was amazing because it was personal development. I knew nothing about personal development. All I knew was that in this coaching program, we were talking about, finding out who you are, what your purpose is, what your passion is, things that you can do to help you to build a business. So that was kind of where I was coming from. So personal development, well, okay, what does personal development have to do with business?
Yeah. Right. Everything.
Well, yeah, I know now. At the time, it was like I was building an online marketing.
Right.
We didn't talk about mindset. We didn't talk about all of those things. So personal development. So I went to it, and Hailey, I'm very honest with people. The only reason I went was because Phil asked me to. I felt bad that, oh, brother, I'm going to be in Montreal. It's only 10 minutes from my sister's where I was going to be staying. It would be really tacky of me to not go for at least the first session. And it was going to be a 3-day event. The first session. And that's what I was going to leave. Every intention to leave. Hailey, I was glued to my seat.
Love it.
3 days later, it was like, this is what I want to do. This is what is going to be part of my business. And that's kind of where it started. It just was that about the personal development, because you cannot possibly give to somebody else what you don't have yourself. Yeah. And so it started me on the road to doing what I do now, because from there, I was introduced to being a personality science trainer, which I love doing. And that expanded my coaching. And now as I've gotten older, now I coach midlife, mentors, because so many people are like I was in my midlife, have no idea. And I think what it is I've had so many people say to me, but you know what? Yeah, I'm just, tired of not knowing what I want. I'm tired of just being kind of rudderless. It's like they get to that point where they wake up and realize that the life that they are leading is not the one they want to spend the rest of their life doing. Right. They're getting up to that. Oh, well, yeah, I'm going to be retiring in a few years. So then what? My kids are going to be grown. Then what? I'm an empty nester. So then what? Yes. And they have no idea how to change. They know they want to, though. Yeah. I think that starts with, like, I knew that moment that I knew something had to change. Right.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I mean, there's so many things to take from your story. Number one, first of all, I think that how you turned a tragedy into, wait a minute, this is a moment to reflect. This is a moment to think about, what do I want moving forward? And you allowed your future to be bigger and brighter than your past and say, you know what, I'm not going to stay stuck here. I'm not going to just give up. And what else is possible for me? And you didn't know all the hows, you didn't know all the answers, but you took the first nudge, you took the first step, and then one thing adds to another, and you meet somebody else, and then this happens and that happens, and you don't know in the moment, like, this is how it's going to go and unfold. But then you look back and you're like, wow, that was a really good thing that led to another really good thing that led to it. And I always say, because I had a moment like that in my life when I worked in the startup world and business development and marketing. Entire team got let go. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But in the moment, I was crying. I was upset. I was like, what am I going to do? I just signed a year lease, yada, yada. And it ended up being one of the best things. So the way that you kept your eyes and ears open without needing an immediate, here's what to do next, and here's how it's going to go, and here's all the hows, is courage. It takes courage. And I love that you did that for yourself. And I'm sure right now you're thanking yourself for.
Oh, yeah. I know that now. And yet at the time, I just thought that it was surviving, and not surviving in a bad way, but just, I need to know what the next step. I need to, I need to have a life that I like living. Some people, they get to that point and it just breaks my heart when I hear some of the people, well, I'm just going to go home and sit and watch TV.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. And one of the examples that I share with people, my dad and his friend started work at their company on the same day. 35 years later, they retired on the same day. I only lost my dad 2 years ago. I'm 71.
Wow.
I only lost him 2 years ago. He was 102. His friend, who retired on the same day, lasted 6 months.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, exactly. And that is unfortunately becoming quite prevalent.
Yeah.
People are coming out of corporate, especially men. They're coming out of corporate. They have built their corporate career. They've climbed the ladder, and now they realize that the ladder is against the wrong building.
Right.
They're not liking what they're doing. They're not liking what they're seeing. They don't like the stress. And now they're facing retirement next week or next year. And they're like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Their wife is already saying to them, you better find something to do, because you are not going to come home and just sit here. Some women are saying that. And it's like, and yet other women are in the same boat.
Well, I think there's two things. One, being able to be a person who appreciates the contrast in your life, like you had in the moment, obviously it's normal, and you probably should be sad that your husband passed away. That's a tragedy. Yeah. But at the same time, you didn't let it, what's the word? Just completely stop you from growth and ever moving forward. And you learned to understand that life is going to have these obstacles and be negative sometimes, but at the same time, it's how you handle it, it's how you respond, and all of that. And I think you had a growth mindset that carried you through. And I also, the other thing that you just mentioned is, so many people just say, well, what if, okay, I want to do something, I'm bored, and I want to do something that I'm passionate about in my life, but I don't know what that looks like. And what if I do it and then my kids move back home? Or what if I do it and then this happens and then I lose money? And they ask all the what ifs about every negative outcome that could possibly happen, instead of, what if this is amazing? What if this was what I've been meant to do my entire life? What if this was like the best experience ever? And I think our brains are wired to focus on what if this is terrible and goes horribly wrong. But we need to ask, what if it goes amazing? What if I meet amazing people? Set yourself up for that expectation. right?
And that's what I have. I look back and I have made such amazing friends. And yet, and right now, so many of them are on Zoom because of all the craziness that's going on. And yet I have friends that are in Australia. I have friends that mean that we are close friends, that we talk to each other all the time, but we do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the day when we can all get together because
Yeah.
we're all in a group. And it just really is, it's fun. But you have to be open to that. And I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing, that I was open to it. And I didn't look back on it as it being courageous. I
Yeah.
just knew that I had to do something.
Mm-hmm. The pain was big enough to do something. And
I have to do something.
yeah. So when somebody says to you, Barbara, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I like. I feel this nudge maybe to start a business, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't know what to do. So how do you help somebody start to clarify what they want? Part of what you said earlier, you learned a little bit about what you don't want, which is great. And even that has value. But then what?
It does have value. I knew that because I've been in the wellness space for years. And I knew I didn't want to go back to the wellness company that I was with, because that was something my husband and I had done together. So I knew I did not want to do that. However, so when online marketing, I went, oh, this is something totally different. So that's one of the things that I try to share with people. What is, like, if you could do anything, but the thing is that it starts with, okay, let's sit down. Let's get quiet with ourselves. And number one, I have them do a mirror exercise where they have to forgive themselves for whatever they have done in the past that isn't serving them. Celebrate the things that they know how to do right now. And then commit that whatever comes, I'm going to take one step forward. Because one step is one step. Because from that one step, chances are the next step will appear.
Yeah.
I always think of it, and how I explain it to people is that it's like driving through fog. You can see the road and you follow the yellow line down the side of the road, or the yellow line that's on the other side of the road, whatever you can see. But if you're driving through fog, you can only see a little bit ahead of you. And you pray, and really seriously, you pray you don't hit something. But sometimes that thing that you do hit, that nudges you just slightly off course. And that's the thing you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah.
And so that's how I explain it. But it starts with, get quiet with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive yourself for anything you've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate the things that you're doing right now. What am I good at? And so like this mirror exercise that I do, I will have them look in the mirror, look themselves in the mirror. Okay, I am so proud. Like if it would be you, it would be, okay, Hailey, I want you to sit and look in the mirror. And Hailey, I am so proud of you for.
Yeah.
What comes up?
Right.
And that is such a powerful thing, because you wait and sit. What is going to come up? You know what? Because we are taught to not brag about ourselves.
Right. Mm-hmm. And focus on everything wrong with us.
You focus on everything wrong, and you don't brag. You don't blow your own horn. You have to be humble. Stuff because otherwise you're a braggart. Especially women. Especially women. Men have a little bit easier time with it. They say, "Yeah, that's me."
Right.
They do. But women, that we're kind of brought up to be a little bit more retiring, be a little bit more sedate, a little bit more ladylike. So you don't brag about yourself. So this is one of the things that, hey, I am so proud of you for. And then just look at yourself and wait for something to come up. Something will. And it could be something so minute. but it's the start.
Yeah. And it's a way to learn about what brings you pride so that you can notice the themes.
Right.
Like I notice everything I wrote down, or some of the things I wrote down, had to do with helping someone else or teaching someone
Exactly.
something
Yeah.
or performing or something. And so then you start to realize, oh, I like that aspect
Yeah.
of life. And so I want to incorporate that into whatever business decision I'm going to make or whatever. And I think also one thing that you're kind of hitting on is like, what are your principles in your life? Like, what are your guiding
Core
forces,
value.
or anchors, or values? And yours, one thing that keeps coming up is be open-minded, be open. Here you are as a 71-year-old woman
Everyone.
with like loving life and just doing your thing. And I love that. And so what some of my principles have to do with being a decisive person. So not sitting
Make a
in,
decision. Make a
yeah,
decision. It
yeah,
might not be the right one,
right.
but
Yeah.
because I always share with people that, God did not give us the ability to make the right decision every single solitary time. You are going to make, I have made some less than stellar decisions
Mm-hmm.
that came back to bite me.
Right.
Absolutely. However, when we have the ability to make, once we have made a decision,
Mm-hmm.
to find out how to make it, oh, okay, because sometimes making the wrong decision leads you down a path that, oh, that's the way I'm supposed to go.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
again, it comes back to be open to an opportunity, be open to meeting somebody,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
be open to
Totally.
a nudge.
Yeah.
Oh, just a small inkling on good sides and bad sides. Like right now, I was planning a trip next
Mm-hmm.
month. And I was starting to make flight arrangements, and it was the nudge that, Barbara, what are you doing? What do you mean? It's kind of that inner check of the voice that, Bart, what do you mean? What am I doing? I'm making flight arrangements, but they weren't coming together quite well of when I needed to be there and when I wanted to come home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, let's step back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I went, gee, am I supposed to even go?
Mm.
No, I'm
Hmm.
not going.
Yeah.
Because we're all part of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
whether somebody believes it or not. It's like a friend of mine says, you might not believe in gravity, but if you come to the side of a building and walk off it, you're going to drop.
Right.
And so people might not think that we're all connected, but we are. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it comes to us, and it was just the weirdest feeling that, okay, I'm not supposed to be doing this, and that you'll have too. So you'll know what not to do. Like I knew after David died what I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be such a start. I knew what I didn't want. Okay, so if that's not what I want, what do I want? And as
Mm-hmm.
long as you can ask a question, well, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then it comes into knowing your purpose. One of the things that I always try to share with people too is so often we think of purpose as being this huge, grandiose, Mother Teresa kind of purpose. It doesn't have to be. It can be something small, and not small, but succinct, and doesn't have to be this huge thing that's going to change the world. And yet it can. Like my purpose is to serve God, then to learn, and then to teach others what I learn. That's it.
Love it. Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. And, one thing that's resonating with me about purpose, because I did this whole course about, what is your purpose and all that. And it was great. And I kind of got clear on what that is for me. But in addition to that, what carries me through more and what drives me more on a day-to-day basis
Mhm.
is what's my purpose right now for this thing, and being very intentional about everything. And I think there was a phrase I heard, I think it comes from Wake Up Wealthy, which is like a brand for men, but I listen to a lot of men things. And I think it was about purpose over pleasure, meaning in
Right.
everything you do, whether it's a workout you're doing, what's your purpose for that workout? Well, it's to feel good today. It's to have fun. It's to not sit on my butt And that would be pleasurable to sit on my butt, but my purpose is I want to live a long time. I want to feel good today. Da, da, da. Or what's, you want to start a business, but you have the fear voice about it would just be safer to stay in the cave and not do anything. And yada.
That's our brain talking.
Yeah. Be pleasurable and watch TV and don't try.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, but you have that bigger purpose. So anytime you can come back to that little mantra of like purpose, my purpose is greater than pleasure right now. And so, I know this is scary, or I know I don't feel like doing this, but this is something that I'm is purpose driven right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes for me, I always share with people, it doesn't have to be your purpose. It's what word you use. Like for me, it's more my mission. My mission, I want people to be happy. End of story. That's my mission. I want people to be happy. So that impacts everything that I do of that. So my purpose is to learn about happiness and teach people how to be happy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's that simple. And when you find that little, but that comes from finding out the inside stuff, because it's in us.
Yeah, definitely.
It is in us, but we have to be open to the nudges that are in us.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
I love it. Yes. So Barbara, where can everybody connect with you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, on LinkedIn is the best way, or Facebook Messenger. I do have a free gift if I could. Of course. Yeah. Remember, I think I mentioned that I'm a personality science trainer. That was one of the first really big things that really helped me to know who I was. And it's a freebie. And it's and I'll give you the link and you can post it. And so it's just a bit.ly link, and it's just HTTPS, all that kind of stuff, and then a bit.ly, and then it's /being me too. And what that did for me was, oh, that's why I do that. It just gave me a little bit of like, oh, that's why I do that. Oh, that's why I don't like that. And what it did for me, and I think this is one of the biggest things that I really work with, is quit beating yourself up for the things that you're not and celebrate the things that you are.
Love it.
We so often compare ourselves
mm-hmm.
to the people around us. Quit beating yourself up, because you'll get a free report, and it's a freebie. You'll get a free report, and it'll just give you some strengths and why you like things, what you like, what you don't like. And so many of my people go, oh, it's absolutely spot on.
Cool. Yeah.
Tagged me to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me realize that, oh, it's okay that I don't like that. It's not part of my personality code.
Yeah.
And if it's something that you want to work on, great. Mm-hmm. But if it's not, I have no interest in doing that, in getting better at that. You let it go.
Right.
And that's a big thing.
Totally. And I could tell you my whole life changed when I stopped not liking myself and being like, you need to change all this about yourself, and actually being like, hey, we're going to be nice to ourselves. Right. And we're already worthy. So now what? What do we want to do today? Right. Change. Yeah. And you'd be surprised. Like most people think, well, that's going to decrease my drive, or it's going to make me not work as hard because I'm not beating myself up. But it's the complete opposite.
It's the complete opposite.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Barbara. And I'll be sure to grab that link and put it in the Health Coach Nation podcast show notes when the show goes live. Cool. And we're already live on Facebook, so yay for that. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks again for having me, Hailey. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you liked it and want to reserve your very own free sales audit, go to HaileyRowe.com/strategy-call to book your very own free sales audit. On the call, we'll talk more about the common concerns you get from your ideal clients, how to overcome those concerns, how to coach through objections, how to change your mindset around sales, and improve your sales process so you can be closing and converting more clients. I can't wait to connect with you, and go to haileyrowe.com/strategy-call to take the first step. Thanks so much. Have a good day.